Hello and welcome to your Friday edition of The Nerve. I am your host, Maureen Callahan, and we have another incredible lineup for you today. First, we are going to begin with an ending. It is the morning show's season finale, and Tim, the celebrity makeup artist, is joining us. We're going to have a little bit of a debate. Tim is more in the pro camp, but I'm going to do my best to make my cultural criminal prosecution stick. Then we're going to be examining the latest evidence that one of our true, proper OG, now graduated from an offender to a recidivist, has been watching The Nerve. Okay? They're all watching The Nerve. We'll be reading your feedback. And later in the show, we've got our pal, Meg Josephson, who you may remember from an earlier Nerve, who is on to talk about her book, a New York Times bestseller, Are You Mad at Me? Which is an incredible book. If you struggle with people pleasing, with conflict, with saying no, this book is for you. Meg is the real deal. She is a psychotherapist, and she's going to be joining us to answer your questions and ours, frankly, on Team Nerve about how to navigate family dynamics and drama this holiday season, but particularly with Thanksgiving coming up. Okay? Are you ready, troublemakers? Are you ready? Let's go. Are you looking to support more made in the USA manufacturing this holiday season, whether it's home decor, clothing, or unique gifts? It's become harder than ever to find high quality products that aren't made overseas. Small businesses in this country are struggling to stay afloat, and with Amazon and Target dominating the holiday market, it's no wonder why. And that is where a warehouse comes in. It is your one-stop shop for artisanal, one-of-a-kind special gifts. With products from over 100 different vendors, they are deeply committed to supporting American makers and manufacturers. They're easy to navigate online marketplace, lets you browse a wide range of independent creators so you can feel good knowing that your purchase supports real people and ethical business practices this holiday season. Explore a warehouse's gift guides and holiday collection featuring handmade ornaments, greeting cards, thoughtful gifts under $50 and more made in the USA favorites that make any gift truly meaningful. A warehouse believes that a thoughtful gift isn't about fancy labels or big brand names. It's about the dedication, creativity, and care that goes into every product. Join the growing community of shoppers supporting over 100 vetted small business makers. Head to awarehouseshop.com and use code THENERVE for 15% off your first order. That is awarehouseshop.com, code THENERVE. Joining me now is celebrity makeup artist Tim MacKay. Tim, this for at least this year is our final morning show hate watch, and you deserve kind of a medal. I mean, you've seamlessly gone from the And Just Like That hate watch to the morning show hate watch. Even though I know you do love Jennifer Aniston, acting ticks be damned.
I think that the And Just Like That show was much harder to get through because that was just absurd. I feel like every episode was just a parade of nonsense, whereas the morning show is a little bit more serious. And I will say, I really liked this episode. I didn't love it. I almost loved it. Then they had to do something that ruined it at the end. And I was like, oh, but we're almost
Okay, you
there.
and I are going to have our first fight. I hate to tell you, my friend.
About this episode? You hated this episode?
I hated this episode. Okay, and we're going to start. First of all, my main problem with this episode, as you will see, as we will all see in the forthcoming clips, is there was a ton of exposition. The dialogue, it was so expository. It was like, Perhaps you remember the last episode when my mother killed herself in front of me, and you know why she did that? Oh, by the way, you know who buried the EPA report? We're on the EPA report. Okay, Chip, the useless simp beta male that is Chip, confronts Corey, the excellent Billy Crudup, who deserves such better writing than this, on
his movie set.
What?
Sorry to interrupt you. On his movie set, though, I thought it was funny. He just walked right into his movie set, Corey's movie set, and that's where he confronted him.
In this episode?
Yeah, in this episode, he was like,
it was the office, right? We had to get up at the crack of dawn to watch this thing because it didn't drop until,
I thought it was like he was in front of a big movie screen and then Chip walks in and he's like, "Hey, I
Oh,
need
no,
you to
no, no,
this
no.
report."
That's on the set of this is how poorly the show is written, Tim. A visual person. You didn't get this. They were on the set of the morning show, but they were having technical difficulties with the virtual backdrop.
Oh,
And
that's
so
what that was? I thought that
that's
was a
what that
movie set.
was.
Oh my God.
All right, we're gonna take a look. Here we go.
There's something weird. The internal numbers at Martell don't match the EPA report on Wolf River. You know anything about this?
No, I don't.
Really? You're totally in the dark?
As I explained to Bradley, legal told me to move on from the story in 2019, so I did. I turned that page in my life, and I'm not trying to go back.
Okay, I get it.
All right.
But even if it means we could bring Bradley back home?
The only people that can help Bradley right now are the fine folks at the State Department.
I agree. And if we break Bradley's story, then it'll put pressure on them to get on it, right?
Yeah, well, that's certainly a theory.
Well, come on, man. Like, I don't really know what's going on between Bradley
Come
and
on,
the feds,
man.
but they're clearly not bending over backwards to help her right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, karma sucks, doesn't it, Chip?
What is wrong with you?
Come again?
She's in a fucking gulag, man. I understand you're mad at her or something, but like...
Mad? As I'm sure you know, she stripped mine my phone, and I don't know, my fucking soul on all things Wolf River. Perfect timing, by the way. It really set me up for the last couple of weeks. I don't know if you've ever had the honor of picking out an urn for the pile of dust formerly called your mother. There's so many choices. They got rosewood, they got ceramic, they got biodegradable, they got engraved. It is fantastic how we've managed to incorporate death into the consumer economy. While we're on the subject, quick question. What do you think is worse? Pretending to love someone so you can fuck them over, or killing yourself in front of them? It's, I'm just...
Okay, I'm gonna go.
Well, that's the best idea you had all day.
I love that scene. I love the way Billy Crudup's character just demolishes, once again, the useless Chip, who is just in servitude, endless servitude to these terrible women who he doesn't even work for anymore.
Yeah, and I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, it was wild that his mom committed suicide in front of him. I think that's the craziest thing that's ever happened.
Well, he did. Technically, Corey had stepped away. So it was something of a surprise when he came back to see her dead body there.
Yeah, because I don't know if I'd ever come back from that. But especially if it's like you're having a fun afternoon with your mom.
Right.
Get back. But he's talking about I'm guessing he's insinuating Bradley there, saying that like, tricking someone to falling in love with you. I'm like, for what? Like 2 episodes? Like for like an episode in the beginning of the season? We already forgot about it. All I think about is you and Marianne Cotillard. So, I mean, I just think it's funny. I was like, they're really trying to push hard. Oh, but then they had the flashback of them in bed. So they're really trying to drive home that they were in love. That this was the relationship. And so it's like to make it, that much more impactful.
Again, it's that kind of sloppy writing. It's like, oh shit, we got to underscore this bullshit storyline we set up that nobody's buying as this grand love story. The balance of power was always with the Reese character. Corey was in love with her from the beginning. She was never going to give him the time of day. But Corey, regardless, moved on very, very, very quickly while his ex-girlfriend of 5 minutes is in a gulag having horrors visited upon her, which this show really pussyfoots around. Corey confronts Marianne. Here we go.
Did you have something to do with Bradley getting taken? Corey, hey, just tell me.
Of course not. Why would you think that?
Well, your family must have a financial interest in Martell since you paid Fred to bury the story.
I thought we'd put this behind
More
us.
exposition.
Yeah, we did, but Bradley brought it back. She was getting close. She's getting close to something. And now not even the Red Cross can get in to see her.
His acting is great, though. His acting is
so good.
I had something to do with that?
I don't know what to think.
Villain.
Mm-hmm.
No one knew she was
Wearing black.
Making mysterious faces.
Ask anyone.
I think your
Foreign
family
accent.
can help get her out. And I think I can help your family. Chip is looking into all of this.
And he's circling around the EPA report. But he doesn't know that I have the real one.
Ooh.
The one that proves
reveal.
that
All these
Martel
reports, Maureen.
is
Like,
liable
what's
for all the things they did to those people. And once Bradley is back, you and your family can have the report. An insurance policy. Do whatever the fuck
We
you
get
want with
it. Why are they over-explaining this to us?
My family, they can't wave a magic wand.
They can do something. Maybe.
I'll call them. For you.
You know, Tim, I want to talk about the really important thing in that scene, which is Marion's makeup, which I think is on point. I think it's perfect. End of day executive. It's worn off the face a bit. The eye makeup is just smudgy in a perfect way. Am I right?
You're absolutely right. I think she looks stunning. And it still has this air of like that they still use contouring and shadows to kind of give her darkness.
Yeah.
And I know lighting, of course, helps too, but I think the makeup looks great. I always wonder what happened before this scene because doesn't she wake up from sleeping and she's like, Corey? So it's like, did he come home from the park after thinking and then like, was she already asleep? I don't know. I just try to think about what they don't show in the episode because I'm like, oh, like, did he go to sleep? He went to bed with her like everything was fine and then he got up in the middle of the night? I don't know. So that's what I was wondering when I watched that.
Yeah, again, we're demanding sense from a show that has a writer's room that is, you know, paying it has, I don't even know if they have like a real Bible. You know how shows have like a Bible with like
Oh, yeah.
everything that I don't think that
Well, and
they,
just like that they clearly didn't because they messed up so many things in that show.
right? They killed a character twice.
Yeah, they had no Bible. They had a pamphlet that they looked at once in a
If,
while.
you know, Sarah Jessica Parker, that great reader who we're going to talk about in B Block. Okay, now, Jennifer Aniston is doing what she does best. She's stalking around the halls again. This is all she does every episode. She's stalking around the halls in her 6-inch Louboutins, and she's going to take some names and roll some heads, and she's going to confront Marion Cotillard because Jennifer Aniston, again, this show exists in service to her ego, and she's the real boss, even though the Marion Cotillard character is supposed to be the boss, and her family apparently owns the country of France and, like, you know, any number of Middle Eastern and Eastern European despots worldwide. Here we go. Stalking.
Miss Levy?
You lied to me. You fucking lied. The Iranians did not create that deepfake. You did. Do you know how much that fucked me up? You stole my voice. You used me.
I don't even know what you're talking about.
You were going to use that video to get me fired. And the only reason you didn't is because things got complicated with Zeke and those protesters.
Exposition.
I kind of started
Forgot
to question
about
every
that.
single thing you have done since you got here. Preach sisterhood, and then you edge all of us out. Laura, me, Stella.
Oh, so now you're blaming me for her fuck up too.
I
Great
expect
point.
your resignation by the end of today. Otherwise, I go to the board and the New York Times.
I'm sorry. I'm not resigning. You are.
And why would I do that?
Do you know how many laws you broke when you went to the opera?
Idiot.
You did business
Right.
with a Russian oligarch sanctioned by the U.S. government. The FCC could shut
Exposition.
us down for a stunt like that. As an executive at this company, you acted against the well-being of UBN and its shareholders.
Jen
You
looks
have 24
confused.
hours to step down.
I'm sorry, Marion Cotillard's character is totally in the right there, and I would die to know that shade of pink lipstick she's wearing. Tim.
I just think it's funny that Alex once again comes in like with the subtlety of a hand grenade and she just like has to like flip out and like thinks she owns the thing. Like she always does this every episode. She like
know.
thinks she owns the situation and then it's like egg on her face every single time. Like, and it's just funny. Like she didn't help Bradley and then Bradley gets trapped in the other country and I don't know. I just feel like every episode there's something that she does that she makes some decision and then it goes wrong and she's like, oh, like, completely flabbergasted and now she's lost her job. Now she's fired.
You know what Jennifer
And-
Aniston loves to play, and I think this tells us a lot about her own psyche. She loves to play aggrieved, self-righteous fury.
Oh yeah. Someone who's been through it.
Yeah, and in every given scene, even when she is course corrected and called on her bullshit, as Marianne just did right there. Hey, you went to the opera in public and tried to cut a backroom deal with a sanctioned Russian oligarch. That, sister, is called treason. You're fired. She's like, what? What? I did what? It's like she doesn't get it, which also says to me something about the Jennifer Aniston psyche. Like, she doesn't seem to get basic logic.
I know for the show they wanted to make it dramatic in this big bursting scene, but like in real life, when you learn that information, like wouldn't you gather some people with you? Like I wouldn't go by myself to the office to confront the villain. Like it's just that big showdown. Like I just think I'm like, come on, like the first thing in the morning, like you haven't even had a chance to process what you've just learned about this villain, and you're just gonna burst into her office and tell her everything you know. Like, okay, cool, just
she would
give all your
call
cards
her $1,000 an hour lawyer.
100%.
She would call her agent. She would call her manager. She would call in her most trusted advisors. She would call John Hamm, a billionaire who's seen some shit, and get some advice from him. But no, because again, she's brilliant, right? I think. So, okay, so then John Hamm shows up. Now, John Hamm, as stated, is the devastatingly handsome billionaire who cannot get over this middle-aged mediocrity known as Jennifer Aniston, and he is going to beg her to accompany her on her suicide mission to Belarus to get Bradley Jackson back. Because if there's only one person who could do it, it's Jennifer fucking Aniston. Here we go.
She knows. Ivanov, the trade we were trying to make, everything.
I should have never reached out to him. I knew this could blow back on us. How the fuck did she find out?
I don't know. She just told me that I have 24 hours to resign or she's going to call the feds.
Alex, that cannot happen. Nobody can find out about this.
I know. And Bradley, what about Bradley? State Department, already dragging its feet. Celine, she knew something like this would completely compromise her case.
Bradley fucking Jackson. Oh my God, stuck in a fucking gulag in Eastern Europe, and she's still a human wrecking ball.
Exposition.
I can't believe this 22 years, this is how it ends. I worked so fucking
Back
hard
to Jen.
for that place.
Hey.
So, yeah, they're talking about Bradley in a gulag where, sexual torture is a real thing, okay? This show does not address it, but let's get real. And Jennifer Aniston immediately pivots back. I've been at that company for 22 years. This is how they do me?
It's all about her completely.
Yeah.
That's what you want to focus on right now. She's like, this is the way that I have to go out. It's like, okay, well, there's also your friend being tortured in a different country right now.
Maybe possibly never to return. Now, there were some other things that I wanted to address with you. Actually, producer Marlena texted this morning with some great observations. First of all, Tim, where is Beau?
Oh yeah, they didn't include him in the finale. They talked about him. They mentioned him like, oh, what is it? Some conspiracy theory like Beau would come up with. I'm like, all they think about right-wing people is just that it's full of conspiracies, that everything is just a big conspiracy theory. And I'm like, this is just like such foolish representation. But I will say the one and only part of this episode I liked was like the public outing of a villain. Like I always love when it's done well, and like they almost did that. Well, they kind of did that here with Maureen Callahan. It was silly, but I'm thinking about movies like Jawbreaker or Cruel Intentions. Like at the end when everyone finds out publicly like who the villain is. Like I love when that happens. So I almost loved it in this show. But then, like, I don't know, I thought she'd be taken to jail or something, and she wasn't. Like, she just got on her plane and flew back home. So,
yeah.
I was almost loving it.
Jen Aniston would have tipped off the feds to be outside the UBN office building or outside of Marion Cotillard's office door to arrest her and perp walk her in a collar for the ages, a star-making case. But no, this is again why I love this show, why I hate this show, hate watch it. Jennifer Aniston decides to do what everybody tells her she can't possibly do. Again, self-righteous fury. She goes down to a courthouse in Lower Manhattan to hold a press conference with, the marble pillars behind her and all of that. And she's giving it in one of the most echoey places known to man. Like a broadcasting professional would be like, I need better acoustics. It can't be there. Right?
So that's so true. That's so funny to hear. I didn't even think about that. That's so true. Yeah. It is very echoey.
She's echoing through the halls. And then And then, okay, so it turns out, in far too neat of a story wrap, that the EPA mole was Corey's mother. Again, the EPA, like, this show, there's a brief moment where they're fighting in the control room, and you hear in the background the news that they're broadcasting is the Dems like debating whether they should throw Joe Biden under the bus because like he can't possibly make it now. It's obviously the debate has happened. But, there are all these like actual real world exciting news threads they could be following, but instead it's a decades old EPA scandal, which is like the most boring, unsexy thing going. Like even real journalists struggle to report stories like that because they're so dull.
I know that is true. Like I do love a show like SVU that like kind of has current events in it. So you're
Ripped
like,
from the headlines, cases. You're like, I
know that story. Like I know what they're doing here. Yeah. And this show does it, but I don't know if it's because COVID messed up everything. Like it delayed the show so much that like because didn't that happen? Like by the time they came out with season 2 or season 3, I don't remember which one it was like so much time had passed. So they had to go so much further backwards. And I just feel like that's why the show is so behind now. And I just feel like we're hearing of events that happened last year we don't care about. And
Well, this show's real problem is so it was originally conceived as and written as like a much different plot line, and then the Matt Lauer scandal exploded. So they ripped up everything that they had written, and they decided to start from scratch and make the Mitch Kessler character played by Steve Carell a Me Too villain.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
So it already set the show way back in their own timeline. And then by the time it aired, like everybody had forgotten about it, and nobody's buying Steve Carell as a sex pest. It's just not. It's just not happening. He was cast to play a different character than the one he wound up having to portray.
Is that what happened? Because I can so see that he doesn't seem like the hot, like, I don't know, almost like a John Hamm or something.
Exactly, John Hamm, who is deviant in real life. Go look at episode 1 of The Nerve. Just my opinion. You need an actor who feels dangerous. You need an actor who has edge and sexual magnetism, where you could buy for several episodes that maybe these girls are making it up, because they're trying to get ahead. And who wouldn't want to have sex with that guy? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I totally agree. So I find that so fascinating because I'm like, well, I wonder what the original show was supposed to be about. I wonder what that was, what was do you know what the original plan was?
I think it was just supposed to be sort of like the goings on and the infighting and the ego battles at like a morning network. It was based on a nonfiction book about morning show wars.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Wow.
Yeah. But no, Jennifer Aniston was turned into a Me Too firebrand, and we end this episode. This is the worst, right? If you haven't seen this episode, it's a spoiler alert, fast forward. But I thought the best way to end this episode would be Jennifer, again, refusing the offer of a billionaire to accompany her to a country where she too could actually get arrested and thrown in a gulag. Okay. No, I've got to do it on my own. I am a strong woman who's going to board my Gulfstream 5 by myself and land in Belarus looking perfectly refreshed. My makeup is perfect. My hair is perfect. I haven't slept on the plane. My clothes don't have a wrinkle on them. And I'm deplaning. I'm getting off the plane. I'm on the tarmac, which is freshly watered down so it looks great at night. And here comes Bradley. They should have ended it on a cliffhanger. They should have ended it on a cliffhanger. We don't know what's happening to Bradley, if she's even still alive. And, but no, they wrap it up with a bow, like the dullards they are over there.
I agree. I will say, just because I'm a little sensitive, that my eyes watered a little bit when
you're so sweet.
I'm not even joking.
Real sweetheart.
I think it was because we had to watch it so early this morning that like I was still tired maybe, but when Bradley walks like towards her, I even said out loud, I was like, what, are they going to run to each other? And then they kind of do, and my eyes started watering. I was like, wait, and then the embrace, I don't know. I did find that a touch emotional just because I'm a little bit of a softie, but and I will say that Alex's hair looked very Rachel at the end of this episode. It was doing the flipping in thing. And I don't know if she's bringing that back, but like I loved that like late 90s, early 2000s when the hair went inwards, and I noticed that they were doing that with her.
She had way too much volume at the crown for a 16-hour flight.
I think that's so funny
Wait.
that you say that. She's like, I'm gonna go see my disheveled, beaten up, broken down friend, and I'm gonna
Hey,
show up
I get off a
immaculate.
6-hour flight looking a lot worse for wear, you know? And I don't like to fly coach. Like I fly
No, she
nicely
touched
if
up
I
before
can.
she got off. She was like, I want to make sure I look good before I see my beaten up friend.
And you know what? I'm gonna try to knock a little bit of the sentimentality out of you, my friend, because they end the embrace. It's the soap opera hug. It's the one shot with the two faces. You know, Real Housewives figured this out a long time ago. When you're hugging a castmate, either you're consoling them or you're trying to put them down a little bit. It's side to side. It's the faces go side to side so we can get the full expressions.
'Cause that's
It's never a
realistic.
hug that like the back of somebody's head is in the shot, right?
Yeah.
And so they were boarding the plane like that. Like,
Exactly. 'Cause that's
fucking
so
hate this
realistic.
show. I hate it.
You see right through it, Maureen. You see right through everything.
It's a gift and a curse. You know, what can I say? Tim, thank you for going
you.
on this wild ride with me. And, you know, we'll have to find a new hate watch very soon.
There's plenty. I feel like there's always a new show coming out. We will definitely find another hate watch.
I have one in mind. I will text you.
Okay. And I just wanted to say really quick, I was reached out to by a troublemaker who was on the cruise.
No, on the
Yes,
Hallmark cruise?
On the Hallmark cruise. Her name is Donna Parker Fortney. And I just wanted to say thank you for reaching out and letting me know that she had a blast. She had the best time on the cruise. She already bought her tickets for the next cruise next year. And that makes me happy now that I know that there is another cruise because I want to make sure I work on that again. So
I'm sure you will. And I love the overlap between the Hallmark movie viewer and the troublemakers. I
Yes,
love it.
So hi, Donna. Thank you for reaching out. And next time maybe I'll see you on the cruise.
Sounds great. I'll talk to you soon, Tim.
Bye, Maureen.
Bye. We're going to follow this up really quickly with Jennifer Aniston's new boyfriend, who she gave she made some brief comments about him. You know, the professional hypnotist who likes to go on Instagram and look dead into his iPhone camera and go, repeat after me. I am lovable. I am enough. I am worthy.
Because I'm good enough, I'm smart enough, and doggone it, people like me.
Jen Aniston is like, this guy is so special, and he's really making a huge contribution to the world, okay? This is his most recent, this guy is so basic. He's a dummy, okay? He's dumb. He's clever enough to have hooked enough, like worked his way into A-list Hollywood circles and to now have an A-list Hollywood girlfriend who is helping to move his merch and his shitty book, which I have here somewhere in this studio. And I've misplaced it because it's like this thin and it's full of QR codes. Like it's a pamphlet with QR codes. Anyway, he posts this to Instagram. He had a birthday party recently. She threw it for him, I guess. And the caption he wrote is, if this is a dream, I don't want to wake up. That's an original mind at work. Am I right? I mean, this is the kind of thing you would see as like word art at like Home Goods. Get out. Okay, next up, we have troublemaker feedback. Back in a minute. If you're looking for a holiday gift that shows real taste, care, and personality, check out Firecracker Farm Hot Salt. It's the kind of gift that sparks joy and flavor. Now, this is a small family-run operation, and they care deeply about quality and craft. I love this stuff. The flavor is a refined, savory heat. There's no brute force with this, and it elevates everything from scrambled eggs to reverse seared steak to roasted veggies and even popcorn. The catch, it's small batch and in high demand. This is not an Amazon panic buy. It requires planning. They are going to sell out. So skip the forgettable filler. Think ahead. Get Firecracker Farm Hot Salt before it's gone. Get an actual gift instead of clutter that's going in the back of someone's pantry. Will it change your life? Yeah, it probably will. Go to firecracker.farm and use code THENERVE for 10% off while you can. That's firecracker.farm, and you can thank me later. Welcome back. Now, before we get into some of your feedback, we've got some recidivists to address. The The first one is our sprightly 900-year-old heroine who started showing up in my algorithm more than usual. Okay, and I am telling you, either Sarah Jessica Parker or one of her paid employees is watching the nerve. Okay. Remember when we did that little segment saying she was so full of shit for that mini interview she did for The New Yorker? The New Yorker is also watching this show because they're now running mini interviews. We did it first with our mini. Get out. And they're not even giving us credit for our intellectual property. And anyway, so Sarah Jessica Parker adorably does this mini interview with her mini tote bag. And she's asked him many questions. Sarah, you're such a literary icon. You're not just a dumb actress. You're a literary lion. What's the best place to read in New York City? And she goes, the subway. And I said, that is such bullshit. No real New Yorker is reading on a subway platform or on the subway because it's overrun with the mentally ill and drug addicted homeless people and real criminals who are looking for anybody to shove in front of a moving train or rob or sexually harass or masturbate in front of, for real. So nobody's reading a book on the subway. And look what she posted. Look what she posted online. And if you are listening, you have got to go to the YouTube channel and watch this part because she is on the subway in full hair and makeup. The mane is full of like 80 pounds of hair extensions. And you know what else? She's not even wearing like Apple earbuds, which if you really feel like you got to listen to something on a lower volume, you can see a street smart New Yorker is going to conceal those with their hair or with a hat. So it looks like you are, all of your senses are fully operational. No. This trick gets on the train with her big, like Beats by Dre headphones. You know, she's so hip. She's like 85 years old, but she's really hip. Okay. So look at this. And then she's like, there's another clip of her like walking down the subway platform. Like she's such hot shit. I mean, are you kidding me? Now, she has also been announced as the recipient of the upcoming I adore Carol Burnett. I was raised on that show. Okay. She is going to be awarded the Carol Burnett Award at the Golden Globes this year. And our eyes are all over it. Okay. Just know that. And also there was an unveiling of an SJP wax figure. Listen, we're all going to take it down at the Nerve Awards. Okay. And whoever made that wax figure, by the way, I suspect a secret troublemaker. Their troublemaker army is everywhere. It really is. Okay. To your emails. Hi, Maureen. This is troublemaker Naomi, fellow troublemaker and operative of the Nerve. I love it. She believes that the Nerve is doing the Lord's work. We appreciate that. We take our mission very seriously here. As you know, I'm writing to share some intelligence I gathered this weekend on one Michelle Obama. I was in Barnes and Noble. I asked a cashier if she knew where the Michelle Obama books were. She directed. This was another customer who asked where the Michelle O books were. The cashier directed her, all the way to a back corner in the store and said, if you're unable to find any books there, we have an unopened box in the back. That means the book isn't moving and the Nerve is doing its job. As we said, that book is going to hit the New York Times bestseller list in its first week out. But if we're doing our job, it drops right off a cliff. Okay. And it does not survive. I couldn't help but smile and think what a fitting place it was to display Michelle Obama's piece of work in a box in the back in the dark, so as not to pollute the actual literary art one can find in a bookstore. Couldn't agree with you more, Naomi. Dear Maureen, in response to your coverage of the second part of the A-Rod documentary, I would like to suggest we refer to him from now on as Alexander. He belongs in the same category as his woodshed contemporaries, William Maher and Andrew Cohen. Just my opinion. Say hey to Bill from Brooklyn for me, and please continue to have him on regularly. That's a done deal. He's a regular. Okay. As a Mobro, it's a Mobro writing. It's just easier to justify my watching fashion videos if I can pretend there's a chance Bill from Brooklyn will be making an appearance. Bill, by the way, troublemaker, Bill from Brooklyn can relate. As discussed on an earlier Nerve, he used to sneak his neighbors' Us Weeklies and Star magazines up to his apartment and read them before they got home and even knew they were missing, and then secretly redeposit them back in the mailbox. Maybe a felony, but I think there's a statute of limitations on that. Keep your feedback coming. Email me at Maureen@devilmaycaremedia.com or DM me on Instagram at Maureen Callahan Writer or at The Nerve Show. Remember to subscribe to The Nerve's Substack. That's thenerveshow.substack.com. And tonight I am going to be with Megan Kelly on her Anaheim stop of her live tour. I cannot wait for this. And I'll also be doing the meet and greet. So if you've got tickets for that, I cannot wait to see troublemakers out in the wild. Coming up, navigating. Oh, excuse me. I'm already getting a little stress voice. My nerves, Okay, coming up, navigating the holidays. Our friend Meg Josephson, the New York Times bestselling author of the phenomenal book, Are You Mad at Me?, which is for people pleasers everywhere. I don't normally love self-help books at all. I love this book. And I love Meg. She will be with us to talk all of our dilemmas as Thanksgiving approaches. We will see you in a minute. If you have ever read the label on a typical bag of chips, you know you're poisoning yourself. Just my opinion. It's a science experiment of seed oils, MSG, dyes, and vague natural flavors. But still, sometimes you just want the chips. There is an answer. Vandy Crisps. Vandy is part of the growing movement to bring back real food. They're made of just 3 ingredients: 100% pesticide-free potatoes, sea salt, and grass-fed beef tallow. No junk. These chips taste amazing, and they leave you feeling light, energized, and satisfied. No crash, no bloat, or mindless binging to follow. And if you love Vandy, you'll love Masa Chips, Vandy's sister brand. Their 3-ingredient tortilla chips are the best I've ever had. And trust me, when it comes to Mexican food, I am an expert. My go-to flavor is the original, but the white, the blue, the lime, the habanero, the churro, all are delicious. If you are ready to give Vandy or Masa a try, use code Maureen for 25% off your first order at vandycrisps.com or masachips.com, or simply scan the link in the video description or the QR code. Click the link rather. Scan the QR code to claim this delicious offer. And if you don't feel like ordering online, Vandy and Masa are now available nationwide at your local Sprouts supermarket. Stop by and pick up a couple of bags before they're gone. The holidays are upon us, and we're going to talk about the holidays in a very Nerve way. The holidays can be really brutal. Okay, there's a lot of stress baked in. Family events, complicated family dynamics, guests who are going to be there who you would rather not deal with, people who somehow have a way of activating all of your worst insecurities, your tender spots, to say nothing of the way politics has just fractured families like crazy. For some people, it's one of the loneliest times, whether you're alone or with other people. There's so much pressure to have the perfect picture postcard version of Thanksgiving, Christmas, Hanukkah, whatever you may observe or celebrate. So today we have one of the Nerve's favorites. Okay, Meg Josephson came on back when we were a true baby show. And she was promoting her new book, which has since become a New York Times bestseller, Are You Mad at Me?, which is an incredible book. If you suffer from people pleasing, as so many of us do, this is the book for you. And she has come to the Nerve to help us work through some of our questions, your questions, anxieties, concerns. So Meg, welcome back to the Nerve.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me and for that warm and kind introduction.
Oh, we're so thrilled to see you. And congratulations on the book's
Thank
well-deserved success.
I appreciate it.
Okay, we're going to get into it. This question comes from one of our original troublemakers from day one. As a fawner in recovery, you speak about fawners in Are You Mad at Me? how do I loosen the grip of how can I make the holidays extra special for everyone at the cost of my health, sanity, and my budget?
Oh, well, it's such an understandable and relatable feeling. And something that's so important to remember about people pleasing and the fawn response in general is that we find safety in doing more and trying harder. And so I imagine historically, perhaps that has been safe for you of I need to try harder to be loved. I need to be perfect, major air quotes, to be loved. And of course, that tendency and pattern is going to spill into the holidays where it's supposed to be this expression of love where we're showing people how much we love them. Two things come to mind. The first one being, let's first acknowledge and accept that voice that says you're not doing enough will continue to be there. And that's okay, because that's a protective part of you that's working really hard to keep you safe. But this is an instance where we don't need that voice. And so we're going to notice that voice without giving it power. I think more tangibly, it's helpful to almost, and when you're in a grounded, calm place, define what enough is this holiday season so that you can come back to that reminder when that anxious voice is telling you you need to do more or try harder or be more perfect. You can come back to this reminder from your past self.
Very good advice. Okay, next question. You're sitting at the holiday dinner table and a sensitive topic comes up. There's always one shit stirrer at these things. What is your advice, Meg, on the best way to approach, minimize, or diffuse this type of conversation?
Oh, it's so tricky. It's such a tricky balance of when is this not worth getting involved in? And when am I neglecting myself by not speaking up? And I find that to be a very challenging balance to find. And only you can really know, I think, what that feels like to you. In my book, I talk about this practice of leaning back, where we're still in the room, but we're practicing leaning back. So I want you to actually lean back in your chair at the table.
Physically do it. Physically lean back.
Physically press your back against that chair.
What does that do for you? What does that tell the brain?
It's telling the brain we're slowing down. I don't need to lean in so much. I can release some of this urgency. I want you to lean back and take a few deep breaths. And that small shift, it'll take 2 seconds to do, but you're going to be able to see the situation a bit more clearly, where you're not immediately reacting. Just by inserting that pause and inserting that breath, you're going to respond instead. You might choose to involve yourself, you might choose to not, but just by inserting that pause, you're able to see the situation from a clearer lens.
This is how you'll know if you have a troublemaker at your table. They lean back. They're going to lean back this Thanksgiving during a tricky convo.
Yeah.
Okay. When a family member keeps putting you down, and I would like to get into this in the sense of, because this is how I've experienced it with my own extended family.
Yeah.
These are often insults couched as jokes.
Yes.
Or like my familiarity with you is such that like I can just poke you a little bit, even though I'm really trying to insult you. How do you deal with that?
Oh, it's so challenging. I think the first of all, releasing this expectation that you'll be able to make them understand that it was hurtful, or trying to get them to see your side. I don't know if that's possible in this lifetime for that person. And so I think instead it's shifting the focus to how can I move through this instead of like, how can I fix the other person or control the other person? How can I allow myself to move through the discomfort of this? I actually find it to be quite a powerful response to let it kind of hang there for a second instead of immediately, getting defensive, or maybe your usual script that you go to. Let it be there for a second. Choose a new way. Or maybe you would say, sorry, can you repeat that? Or what did you mean by that? Or just allow there to be some openness or curiosity and space with what they said. And this isn't to say, oh, they'll have this light bulb moment that it was hurtful and they shouldn't have done that. But I think just choosing a new way, you're automatically breaking the script and therefore breaking the pattern, at least for one of us.
Would you recommend, Meg, that people actually practice that before like a big gathering, a big dinner. I have to say, like, when you wrote about the fawn response in your book and how the response is sort of like, I'm gonna try to de-escalate this by just, smoothing the feathers of the person who's really causing me problems. I find that in family dynamics like that, they're so well established and it's considered part of the lingua franca. Oh, this is just how we relate. We mock each other. We hurt each other. We hurl some insults. That your actual reflexive nature can be to just sort of like try to laugh it off or minimize it or respond in a way that kind of moves it along. And I think you'd really kind of have to practice, right? Like there's a discomfort in that quiet of letting a question hang or a statement hang.
It's wildly uncomfortable. And I would say family dynamics, these are the big leagues of conflict, boundaries. That takes a lot of discomfort tolerance. I think leading up to the holidays, whatever day you're watching this, if you can practice on someone that feels safe, if you're practicing setting a boundary, if it's just like talking to a friend, hey, I only have 30 minutes to chat. What's up? You're setting a boundary on the time. Start with someone that feels safe and small, because if we start right away with someone that we know will have a big reaction, it will feel very shocking to the nervous system. And I also want to validate that when we return to old environments, no matter how much work we've done, no matter how much therapy we've been to and how much healing we've accomplished, we will kind of revert back to our old ways because our body is in this environment with these people that we associate it with this past time in our lives. More often than not, we're more reactive in these old environments because our body is like, oh, I'm 12 again, or I'm 19 again.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there's like a physiological reaction that can help explain why a lot of these dynamics not just perpetuate, but they're really very alive, very alive.
And this is why leaning back, breathing, slowing down is so important, because by doing so, we're coming into the present. We're telling our bodies we're here now. It's 2025. I am X years old. I'm not in that age. So by coming into the present, by coming into our bodies now, we're telling our bodies we're not there, we're here.
What about just removing yourself and going for a walk?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, don't underestimate just the power of space and agency. I think a question to ask yourself all the time with people pleasing, do I need to be people pleasing right now? Do I need to do this right now? What would happen if I took a walk around the block? Like, I think the holidays, I'm all for having hard conversations and facing conflict head on, having productive, honest conversations. The holidays aren't always the best time to do that. So I think the focus should instead be, how can I move through this? How can I get through this? How can I soothe myself? Take walks, take breaks, go to the bathroom and just sit there for a few minutes to collect yourself, do what you need to do, take in small bites of regulation so that you can feel okay.
I love that. Okay. What do you do if you are feeling pressured to attend a family event or be around a family member that you do not want to be around? And we've talked about this a bit before, Meg, the idea that it's usually the most chaotic, difficult family member that the family bends itself gymnastically around to try to appease, to try to accommodate, rather than looking at that person as the problem and trying to nullify that problem,
Of course. And the holidays are hard because will it be the time where other family members are open to hearing how this person is dysfunctional? And there will be probably not. Like, it's probably going to be the traditional, it's exactly what always happens. And so what I like to say is first asking yourselves, do I have to go? Is this necessary? Sometimes it is. Sometimes, for whether it's your culture, whether it's whatever dynamic is happening, you do have to be there. But then asking yourself, what's absolutely necessary and what is less necessary? Maybe a better question is, if I could set any boundary in the world, what would I want to do? Okay, knowing that, what can I do? What's actually possible here? Maybe it's leaving early. Maybe it's excusing yourself halfway through to take a bathroom break and take a few deep breaths. What are some things that you can integrate to allow it to be easier on yourself, as opposed to kind of white knuckling it, being like, well, I have to do this as I always do and I have to do it perfectly. What can be different this year so that you can move through it with more ease?
How do you set a boundary, Meg? If, let's say, you're traveling a great distance to go home for the holidays, and you have family, be they parents or siblings or in-laws, who are insisting that you stay with them, and you would much rather stay in a hotel because you know for everybody's sanity it's going to be better. But then the would-be hosts start guilt tripping you and saying, well, what, we're not good enough? Or, we want to see you. You don't want to see us? Like, how do you deal with that?
Yeah. Stay in the hotel. It's okay. They will not understand. If they're taking it personally, if they're taking it as rejection, that doesn't mean that you have to internalize that. You're breaking the script, right? Like you're doing something unfamiliar. They're naturally going to have discomfort simply because it's new, not because you're doing something bad. And so often we feel guilt, like, oh, maybe I'm a bad daughter or son or whomever because I'm not pleasing them. But so often we feel guilt not because we're doing something bad, but because we're doing something new.
I love this.
So having that distinction is really important. Also, let's define what is a boundary. A boundary is not saying to the other person, you need to do this. A boundary is about what we will do. So for example, if it was, I'll give a non-holiday example and then a holiday example of a boundary isn't stop calling me while I'm at work. A boundary is, I wanted you to know if you call me at work, I'm not going to be able to get back to you until my lunch break.
Yes.
It's about what we will do. Around the holidays, if someone starts name calling or yelling at you, it's not stop yelling at me. It's I'm going to leave the room if you keep talking to me like that. And so it's focusing back on our behaviors. So maybe it's I will be my best self if I'm rested and have my space. I need alone time, and I will be able to show up to the house ready to go, ready to socialize, ready to be with you if I have my own space. That is such a beautiful boundary.
I love that. And I also love what you said about sometimes we feel guilt not because we're doing something wrong, but because we're doing something new. I would also argue that sometimes we feel guilt when we're doing something that's actually really good for us. Yes. And that is so often framed as being selfish. Yeah. And I don't think it is. I think it's akin to that adage of put on your own oxygen mask when the plane's going down before you put on your child's or your partner's. Like you have to take care of yourself before you can be any good for anybody.
Absolutely. And that is, let's even talk about what is guilt. Guilt says it's a messenger, and it says, I did something bad. I did something that wasn't in alignment with my values. Okay, you staying in a hotel so that you can be your best self when you go stay with your family, when you go visit your family, is that out of alignment? Are you doing something bad there? Or are you actually just taking their discomfort and metabolizing it as guilt because you've learned that you're responsible for other people's emotions?
Yes.
You're not doing anything bad in doing that. So it's an important distinction.
And I think that's also very key to keep in mind during the entirely stressful holiday season. You aren't responsible for other people's emotions.
Yeah.
You'll never, ever regulate somebody else's emotions. No. You know, it's impossible to do so. This is a question I've seen quite a bit. If you are divorcing or splitting up and you don't want to announce to the entire extended family during the holidays, but you're also really struggling to put on a united front and there are children involved, what is your best advice? Do you maybe just opt out of a big holiday event this year? Or, if you're worried that you're going to send antenna up, why are you doing that? Like, what's the best way to preserve your own integrity and emotional just safety during a really traumatic time like that?
Yeah, that's such a hard situation to navigate. And I don't think that there's one size fits all for, one family, one person might have something might feel good versus what will feel good for another person. I think starting with the question of what do I need? what do I need here? What's the need of mine that has to be met in this situation? Is that am I craving quality time with my children? Am I craving quality time with my extended family? And I need to make it work without disclosing something I'm not ready to disclose. I think it totally depends on your family situation, but starting with that question of what do I need? Because when we shove down that question, that's when resentment happens. That's when anger happens. We feel like, oh, I'm doing something for everyone else and not for me.
Yeah.
So starting with the question of what do I need? What's happening here? That's the way to go. And I think your intuition will let you in on where to go from there.
Meg, what do you do if you've got, let's say you're not hosting or you are hosting, and you've got a family member or a guest who says, I'm not coming if so-and-so is there. I'm not coming because that person either voted in a way that I don't agree with or believes in something that I find offensive. You know, we are currently in an era where I read one too many like syndicated advice columnists who've been in the game for a very long time say, you know what? It's the moral thing to do. You should absolutely excise family members or friends who don't agree with you. How do you handle that? If somebody lays down an ultimatum, I won't be there if so-and-so is there.
Well, it's a really good, so in that situation, that person, if that's their boundary, because that's what they're doing, I will not attend if this person is there. They're allowed to not attend if that person is there. But you as the host, you get to decide, what are your needs? What's happening for you? Is it so important that that person is the person that, how am I saying this? The person that the other person is saying they can't be there? Is it important for that person to be at the table for you just because if they are having a need that they're meeting for themselves, you're also allowed to have the people that you want at your table. And so I think of it similarly. What do I need? Who do I want there? And I think you can respect other people's decisions, but you can also have a stance and opinion that is different. I think it's tricky if this family member is abusive or really toxic. Of course, I think that's where the conversation changes. If someone's like, this person abused me, I'm not going, I think the conversation certainly changes. I think we're talking about lighter topics in this instance.
Yeah. We're not talking about abusing children, violence, alcoholism that is destructive. But I'm gonna move it into an area that I think far too many of us have had experience with, and that's like the sleazy male relative. Okay, you wouldn't necessarily put in the abuser category, but is definitely inappropriate and like a sleaze, and is likely married to somebody you really love. And how do you deal with that guy?
Well, it's so hard, and again, I think it just depends on what your relationship to, like, what's your relationship to different people, which relationships are safe to you. But I think as the person hosting, you have power, you have agency to decide who is let into your home. It's such an intimate thing. You get to decide who is brought into that really intimate gathering. And so I think attuning to maybe asking, why am I inviting this person? Am I inviting this person because it's coming from a people-pleasy place, or is it because I really want them here? And there might be an instance where you have to, or you feel like you have to invite them, or it feels worth it to invite them anyway. Or maybe not. You might be like, you know what? It's going to be a smaller Thanksgiving this year. But I think that question is important. Why am I doing this? What is my motive? What's my intention? And whatever you choose, you're already breaking the pattern because you're looking inward first. Remember that people pleasing is all about looking outward to approve your decision. So I'm going to invite this person just because I know it'll please everyone else. Just by looking in, well, what do I think of this first? You're already healing because you're looking in before immediately looking out.
Meg, how do you know the difference between people pleasing and going, you know what? There are battles worth fighting and there are battles worth avoiding. And if I exclude this family member because of their partner, because he's a little sleazy, or I don't like the way, it's a fine line, right? Because you want to be true to yourself, and you want to say like, hey, I don't want to be talked to like that, or looked at like that, or, someone trying to touch me, versus, you know what? It's once a year. It keeps the peace with the relative I really do love. She's never going to leave this guy. How do you know when you're like, is it like just a gut feeling where you're like, okay, like I'm being pretty true to myself right now?
You're exactly right. And this is where I'm always saying it depends. And what do you feel? And what do you need? Because we are pro-social beings, right? We crave harmony. We crave family and connection. And so it's never boundaries. I think we talk about them in mainstream psychology in a very simplified way, where it's like, just do this or just do that. It's never that simple. We have different relationships that we're balancing. Yeah. So I think understanding, first being attuned to your inner world, being attuned to what's happening for you, but knowing that it's not necessarily it's not black or white. It's not going to be like, this is perfect or it's this. There's always going to be some give and take. So I think of it more as like, what's worth it to me? What am I prioritizing here? If your kind of sleazy relative is really close to the aunt that you love and you really want to see her, is it worth it? It might be worth it for him to come in order for you to see her. And so I think we're always weighing the pros and cons with these sorts of things. Yeah. But I have in my book too, this distinction of when am I avoiding conflict and when am I just avoiding drama? Avoiding drama is like, I'm not going to get involved in this conversation because you can't change and this is exhausting. So I'm just going to observe what's happening. Versus avoiding conflict might be, I'm feeling so resentful, but I'm not going to say anything because I need to be easy and perfect and good. And so knowing that distinction too, why am I avoiding this? Where is this coming from? Is also an important process.
I couldn't agree with you more. Yeah. This is a question we got from someone, and I know it's so common. And this is where the inner child really comes alive during the holidays. Your parents are divorced. Oh, yeah. They live far away from each other. And it's a constant tug. Which parent do you spend the holidays with? Yeah. What do you do? And especially what do you do if you feel, whether, let's say you've got a relative, I know I have so many friends with this issue, older parent, widowed or widower, living alone. And it's there's a tug, there's a feeling like, well, we got to spend every holiday with this person because they don't have anybody else. Like, so let's take the divorced segment of that first. Okay. You've got divorced parents. You might be in your 30s. You might be in your 40s and married with your own kids, but it's a thing. Who are you spending Christmas with this year? Thanksgiving with this year? Hanukkah? What do you do?
Oh, well, first, I think it's so important to acknowledge the grief in both of those examples that you gave, the divorced or the elder parent, the grief of what things aren't. And I think holidays really amplify our deepest wounds because our expectations come out of what we wish it could be. If you wish that it was so simple and you could just be with your family, or if you wish it was that you could be in two places at once, acknowledging grief about a relationship that won't ever be what you want it to be, or acknowledging grief that you won't maybe have that parental or sibling or partner relationship that you really long for. Acknowledging that grief is really important because I think sometimes that grief can kind of fog our lens of how we're seeing it, and we're acting from that place of, well, maybe I'll just overextend myself and do what I really don't want to do because maybe this year will be different. Maybe this year it'll be the year I've been hoping for, and it won't be because that same wound is going to repeat itself. So I'm speaking more broadly here of just first acknowledging that grief. You'll have to remind me what your initial question was before I went on the grief tangent. So your parents are divorced, okay? And they live far away from each other, and it's a battle. Like it's whether it's overt or covert guilt. Yeah. You mean you're going to go spend Thanksgiving with your father again this year? Yeah. It's my turn this year. Why aren't you coming to me?
I'm alone. I miss you. I don't get to see the grandkids that often, and you really want to be over with the father.
Yeah.
Like that's just for one example.
Yeah. Well, I think this is a good example of it becomes black or white. It becomes this or that. It becomes their feelings of rejection. Either parent starts to get involved, and then you're taking care of their discomfort, you're managing their emotions and neglecting your needs in the process. So again, I think first starting from that place of like, well, what do I want? If I could do anything I wanted this year, where would I go? Which parent would I go to? Okay. And now given the circumstance, what's possible? Is it that I'm going to mom and we're having an hour-long FaceTime with dad? Is it vice versa? Like, what am I actually able to do given the circumstances? But I think this is a perfect example of that pros and cons of like, no, there won't be a perfect situation here. Either way, someone's going to be disappointed, someone's going to feel hurt, someone's going to be uncomfortable. That's going to happen. Which would I rather have? Which path of discomfort would I rather have? Would I rather do what I want and disappoint this parent? Or would I rather neglect my needs and please the other parent? Either way, there's some discomfort to have to swallow. Which one would I rather have this year? That's the path I would take.
Okay. I'm going to ask you something that I went through all the time as a kid, and I would fight with my mother constantly about this, and she would be like, just do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanksgiving. The only people who were asked to help shop, prep,
I already know what you're going to say.
And clean up, the girls and the women.
Drives me nuts.
It drives me up the wall. And then you've got the men in the living room watching football with their feet up going, where's my coffee and dessert? Like belching,
my gosh.
And it's like, it would be considered anathema to ask them to lift a fucking finger.
100%. Oh, I cannot relate to this more. And also, even if you were to say, okay, I'm going to delegate this year, you need to do this, you need to do this. Can we acknowledge you're still taking on the emotional labor because you are still the one managing and organizing the cleaning and the cooking by delegating, you're doing that. I think assigning roles ahead of time is very important so that people can go into the holiday knowing what there is expected from them. And making it clear, having clear communication, being direct. It's really easy to fall into passive aggression of like, well, I guess I'll just do it all by myself, or practicing clear, honest, direct communication about this needs to get done. This is who's going to do it. Yes, there will be grumbles, there will be eye rolls, whatever, but at the very least, some resentment will be soothed because you're communicating that.
What do you do though if you find yourself like maybe it's not you're not hosting and you're not saying, hey, guy X over here, I need you to like bring, the main thing they do is carve up the turkey. That's what the man does. That's it. And you think he was a returning hero, But how do you deal if you find yourself and you're like, oh my God, it's just girls, it's just women in the kitchen. And like, because I always think like, kind of what messaging is this sending like younger girls in the room that like domesticity is just the realm of women, and like you can't say anything because you're a guest, but
I see in the guest space. I think choosing someone as an ally in that situation, whether it's a fellow girl or woman, whether it's a man, a good egg, in the men group of like, whether it's your partner or your brother that you adore or your cousin, someone that is a trusted person amongst any of these people and supporting each other, I think, in dividing up the work so that it doesn't have to all fall on you. And I also think it can be done in a not like fun way, but I think it can be done in a lighthearted way without self-gaslighting, without, it can be like, hey guys, what the heck? Are we just going to be out and doing it on our own? It can be like fun, but also you don't need to diminish what you're feeling because this is such a common problem, especially around the holidays, but also always. Right. And it's okay to feel it. But I think having someone to support you in that, whether it's the someone from the woman crowd or the man crowd, I think is helpful in that.
Yes. So
It's
this is just a
intimidating.
message to those manly men out there who watch The Nerve, even though they're have
Yes.
lots of straight sex and work blue collar jobs. You can help load the dishwasher and
Yes.
clear the table, and it goes a long way. Goes a long way. And
I would also say, don't say, what can I do to help?
Just do it.
Help.
Just
do
do
it.
it.
Because they're probably going to say, oh, please take a seat, have a beer. No, get
just
up,
do it.
be helpful, do something that you don't usually do each year.
I love it. I
Yeah.
guess we'll leave it there.
Guess
Thanks,
so.
Meg.
Thank you
for
so
coming
much.
on The Nerve and helping
Thank
us
you for having
navigate
me.
the
Anytime.
holiday season. Talk to
Anytime,
you
any
soon.
holiday, I'll be here.
Awesome. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. And well, that's it. That's it with Meg. She's amazing. We love her. We love her. She's got like the best, most level-headed, commonsensical advice. And the big takeaway, I think, is that you will never change any of your troublesome relatives or, usual guests at any given holiday gathering. So it's really just it's like really, I think what it is just getting yourself in the right headspace to deal with it as best you possibly can. And if you want to leave early, take off early. That's it. That does it. That does it for our Friday edition of The Nerve. Come back and see us tomorrow on our mini. Oh my God, I can't wait. I cannot wait for this one. One of my favorite people and one of my least favorite people, and it's going to be a versus, okay? That drops on YouTube at 10 a.m. Eastern on Saturday. And if you haven't already, check out our Substack at thenerveshow.substack.com. Be sure to subscribe. It's like $5 a month, and it helps the show to grow. Plus, your Nerve merch. Grab something for yourself or pick something up for a fellow troublemaker at shopthenerve.com. Also, The Nerve is now available on Megan's podcast playlist every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern on the Sirius XM channel 111, which is now the Megan Kelly channel. We will see you tomorrow for the mini, and then again next week right here at The Nerve, where you will never guess what we're about to say next.